The golden necklace of the Queen of the Forest. Long ago, in the heart of the great Zambezi forest, there lived a queen unlike any other. She was not a queen of men, nor of cities made of stone, but of the ancient trees, the singing rivers, and the creatures that roamed the land. Her name was Nyavirezi, the queen of the forest, and around her neck hung a necklace so dazzling that even the sun envied its glow. This was no ordinary ornament, it was the golden necklace of life, forged by the spirits of the land and blessed by the great river god. Whoever possessed it could command the wind, summon the rain, and heal even the most wounded creature. But it was said that if ever it left the queen's neck, disaster would befall the entire forest. One evening, under a sky painted in gold and crimson, a young hunter named Kwame ventured into the forest. He had heard whispers of the queen's beauty and the power of her necklace. Driven by curiosity and greed, he sought to lay eyes upon the treasure, unaware that his footsteps were already being watched. Hidden among the thick trees were the eyes of the forest, silent creatures that served as the queen's guardians. The great owl, Mugara, watched from above, and the panther, Zuba, stalked from below, but Kwame moved carefully, like a shadow in the dusk, until he reached a clearing where an ancient tree stood, its roots coiled like the fingers of an elder. And there she was. Nyavirezi sat upon a throne of woven vines, her skin as radiant as the moon, her eyes deep as the river's heart. The golden necklace shimmered against her chest, glowing with a life of its own. She saw Kwame and smiled, not with anger, nor with fear, but with understanding. "You have traveled far, child of men," she said, her voice like the whispering wind. "Tell me, what do you seek in the queen's domain?" Kwame hesitated. Should he speak the truth? Or craft a lie? Kwame swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the queen's gaze upon him. He knew that the creatures of the forest were watching, waiting for his answer. A single lie, and he might not leave the forest alive. "I have heard of your golden necklace, O Queen," Kwame said cautiously. "They say it holds the power of life itself. I wish to see it with my own eyes." Nyavirezi tilted her head, her golden necklace glowing faintly, as if listening to his words. "Curiosity is not a crime," she said, her voice calm yet piercing. "But tell me, is it only curiosity that brought you here, or does your heart hunger for something more?" Kwame lowered his eyes, ashamed. He had indeed come for more. The stories spoke of how the necklace could make barren lands bloom and turn the weakest warrior into an unstoppable force. If he could possess it, he would be greater than any hunter, greater than any chief. The queen rose from her throne, stepping forward gracefully. The leaves under her feet did not stir, as if even the earth itself feared to disturb her presence. "You are not the first man to seek the necklace, and you will not be the last," she said. "But tell me, Kwame, do you understand its true power?" Kwame hesitated. I know it grants great strength and commands nature." Nyavirezi let out a soft, sorrowful laugh. "Power? Strength? Is that all men see?" She lifted the necklace in her hands, and at once, the forest responded. The trees shivered, and fireflies danced in the air like falling stars. This necklace is not just gold and magic, it is the heartbeat of the forest. With it, I hear the whisper of every root, the song of every river, the sorrow of every dying tree. It does not give power to those who wear it, it gives them responsibility. And that, Kwame, is heavier than any crown. Kwame felt a shiver run down his spine. He had never thought of power in this way. He looked into the queen's eyes and saw something ancient, something beyond human understanding. But before he could respond, a sudden cry tore through the forest. A dark shadow emerged from the trees, and the ground trembled beneath the weight of approaching danger. It was Zimburu, the exiled sorcerer. A man who had once been a guardian of the forest, but had turned to dark magic in his thirst for control. His skin was ashen, his eyes burning like embers, and in his hand, he held a staff carved from the cursed wood of the black baobab. "I have come for what is rightfully mine," Zimburu bellowed, his voice shaking the air. "The golden necklace will be mine, and with it I shall command not just the forest, but the entire world." The creatures of the forest cried out in alarm. Owls screeched, wolves howled, and the wind itself seemed to shriek in warning. But Nyavirezi stood firm, her golden necklace glowing fiercely as she faced the sorcerer. Kwame's heart pounded. He had come seeking power, but now he found himself standing between a queen and a dark force that threatened to consume everything. Kwame felt his breath quicken as Zimburu took another step forward. The air around the sorcerer crackled with dark energy, and the shadows beneath the trees seemed to stretch toward him, as if the forest itself recoiled from his presence. "You do not belong here, Zimburu," Nyavirezi said, her voice steady but firm. "The forest rejected you long ago. You will not lay a hand on the golden necklace." Zimburu let out a chilling laugh. "Oh, but I will, dear queen. You have wasted its power for too long, using it to listen to the trees and heal the weak. But I will use it to bend nature to my will. With it, I shall summon storms, split the earth, and make even the spirits of the underworld bow before me." At his words, the dark clouds gathered overhead, and the wind picked up, swirling through the trees like an angry spirit. The forest creatures cowered, sensing the growing power of the sorcerer. Kwame clenched his fists. He had come here to claim power for himself, but now he saw what true greed looked like. He turned to Nyavirezi. "Tell me what to do," he said urgently. "I will stand with you." The queen regarded him for a moment, her emerald eyes searching his soul. Then, she nodded. "The necklace is bound to the heart of the forest. As long as it remains with me, the forest stands. But if Zimburu touches it, all will fall into ruin." Kwame swallowed hard and turned back to the sorcerer. "You will have to go through me first," he shouted, stepping between Nyavirezi and the advancing Zimburu. The sorcerer's lips curled into a smirk. "So, the hunter wishes to be a hero? Very well. Let us see if your courage is stronger than my magic." With a wave of his staff, Zimburu sent a bolt of dark energy hurtling toward Kwame. He barely had time to react before the blast struck the ground before him, sending him flying backward. He landed hard against the roots of an ancient tree, gasping for breath. Nyavirezi lifted her hands, and at once, the golden necklace blazed with light. The very earth trembled, and vines shot up from the ground, wrapping around Zimburu's feet. "You will not harm him," the queen declared. But Zimburu only laughed, his dark aura surging. With a single stomp, the vines withered and fell away, and he raised his staff once more. "You cannot stop me, Nyavirezi." "Not this time." Kwame struggled to his feet, pain shooting through his body. He looked around desperately. There had to be a way to defeat the sorcerer. If only he could. Then, he noticed something. The queen's golden necklace was glowing, but the light was strongest near the ancient tree behind him. An idea sparked in his mind. "Nyavirezi," he called. "The tree, there's something about the tree." The queen's eyes flickered with understanding. "Yes. The heart of the forest." Zimburu turned toward the tree, his eyes narrowing. "No tricks," he snarled. But it was too late. Nyavirezi lifted her hands, and the golden necklace shone brighter than ever. The ancient tree groaned and shuddered, its massive roots rising from the ground. A deep, powerful voice echoed through the air, the voice of the forest itself. "Zimburu, you have defied the balance for too long. You are no longer welcome in this sacred place." The sorcerer's face twisted in rage. "No. I am power itself. I cannot be." Before he could finish, the roots of the tree shot forward, wrapping around him like the coils of a serpent. Zimburu screamed, thrashing wildly, but the tree's grip was unbreakable. The golden light intensified, and with one final, agonized cry, the sorcerer was pulled into the earth, swallowed whole by the ancient power of the forest. Silence fell. The dark clouds faded, and the wind settled into a peaceful breeze. The creatures of the forest slowly emerged from their hiding places, chirping and rustling in relief. Kwame turned to Nyavirezi, his heart pounding. Is he gone?" The queen placed a hand on the tree's trunk, listening. Then, she nodded. "The forest has reclaimed him. He will never threaten this land again." Kwame let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. He looked at the queen, at the golden necklace still glowing against her chest, and then down at his own hands. "I thought power was something to take," he murmured. "But now I see, true power is something to protect. Nyavirezi smiled. You have learned well, Kwame. And because of that, you will always be welcome in the heart of the forest. As the stars began to twinkle above, Kwame knew his journey was far from over. But one thing was certain, he would never be the same again. Days turned into weeks, and Kwame found himself returning to the forest more often. He no longer came as a hunter, nor as a man seeking treasure, but as a guardian, a protector of the balance Nyavirezi had taught him to respect. One evening, as the sky blushed with the last light of the sun, Kwame stood before the heart of the forest, the ancient tree that had sealed Zimburu's fate. He placed his hand on its rough bark, feeling a warmth pulse beneath his palm, as if the tree still breathed with power. The forest remembers you, Kwame, came Nyavirezi's voice from behind. He turned to find the queen standing there, her golden necklace shimmering faintly, reflecting the fireflies that danced in the air around her. I've been thinking, Kwame said, looking up at the canopy of stars. If Zimburu was once a guardian before he turned to darkness, how many others like him might exist? How many seek to harm the balance of this world? Nyavirezi nodded solemnly. Many. And some are far worse than Zimburu ever was. The thought sent a shiver down Kwame's spine. If men like Zimburu existed, then the queen would always be in danger, and the forest would always be under threat. I want to do more, Kwame said, his voice firm. I don't want to just watch over the forest, I want to defend it. Nyavirezi studied him carefully. Then, with a wave of her hand, the golden necklace shimmered brighter, and the winds around them stirred, whispering ancient secrets. If that is truly your path, then you must be tested, she said. The spirits of the land must see if you are worthy. Kwame straightened. What must I do? The queen extended her arm, and from the shadows, the great owl Mugara and the black panther Zuba emerged. Their eyes gleamed with wisdom, as if they had already judged him. You must journey beyond this forest, Nyavirezi said. To the three sacred lands, where the spirits of fire, water, and wind reside. Each will test you in their own way. If you succeed, you will return not as a mere man, but as a true guardian of the forest. Kwame felt his heart pound. This was more than he had expected, but he knew there was no turning back now. When do I leave? He asked. Nyavirezi smiled, her necklace glowing. The winds have already begun to guide you. Just then, a strong gust swept through the trees, carrying with it a whisper, an ancient call, summoning him toward his destiny. And so, with the queen's blessing and the spirits watching over him, Kwame stepped forward, ready to face the unknown. The forest was behind him now. Kwame stood at the edge of the vast wilderness, where the trees thinned, and the land stretched endlessly into the unknown. The whispering wind guided him forward, carrying the queen's blessing, but he knew that what lay ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. The three sacred lands, he murmured to himself. Fire, water, and wind. Where do I begin? As if in answer, the wind shifted, carrying the scent of smoke and heat. Kwame felt a strange pull in his chest, an unseen force guiding his steps. He adjusted the spear strap to his back, took a deep breath, and began his journey toward the land of fire. The land of fire, the trial of strength. For 2 days, Kwame walked across a dry and cracked land where the sun burned mercilessly above. The air shimmered with heat, and no bird sang, only the distant rumble of something powerful and ancient. On the 3rd day, he saw it. A massive volcano, its peak wreathed in thick smoke, stood before him like a sleeping giant. At its base, jagged black stones formed a path leading toward the summit. Kwame took a cautious step forward, but as soon as his foot touched the ground, the earth trembled, and a voice boomed through the sky. Who dares enter the land of fire? Flames erupted from the cracks in the earth, and from within the inferno stepped a towering figure. Its body was made of molten rock, its eyes burning like twin suns. It was neither fire spirit, the guardian of this land. Kwame stood his ground. I am Kwame, sent by the Queen of the Forest. I seek to become a guardian and restore balance to the world. Ngai studied him, the fire in its eyes flickering. Then you must prove your strength. Power is not given, it is earned. Before Kwame could react, the spirit raised its massive arm and slammed it into the ground. A wave of fire rushed toward him, crackling like a beast hungry for flesh. Kwame leaped to the side, barely escaping the flames. The heat was unbearable, but he refused to back down. He gripped his spear tightly, his mind racing. How do you fight fire itself? Then he remembered Nyavirezi's words, true power is not about destruction, it is about protection. Kwame steadied his breath and looked around. The fire spirit's body pulsed with energy, but there was something else, a faint glow near its chest, a crack in its molten armor. A weakness. Kwame knew he had one chance. He sprinted forward, dodging bursts of flame as Ngai roared in fury. He leaped onto a ledge, then another, climbing higher as the spirit swung its massive fists. Just as it raised its arm for a final strike, Kwame launched himself into the air and thrust his spear into the glowing crack. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then, with a deafening roar, Ngai's body trembled, and the flames around them flickered and died. The massive spirit let out a deep, rumbling laugh. You have faced the fire and endured. You are stronger than you appear, Kwame. The molten giant placed a hand on its chest, and from within, it pulled out a burning ember, pulsing with ancient power. This is the Ember of Fire, Ngai said, placing it in Kwame's hands. It carries the strength of flame, but also the wisdom to know when to use it. Take it, and go forth. Kwame bowed respectfully, feeling the ember's warmth settle deep in his soul. He had passed the first trial. But two more awaited him. With renewed determination, he turned his eyes toward the horizon, where the endless waves of the land of water called his name.